Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel, my cruise, travel, and general reviews channel, where you see restaurant reviews, cruise, travel news, tips, all that good stuff. So anyway, what I thought I would do for this video is give you my top 5 ways to not gain too much weight on a cruise. So how we're starting this out is I am at the Hilton Cocoa Beach, about to get on an 8-day cruise on Mardi Gras, Carnival Mardi Gras. And why I'm not on the beach, which is typical for me the day of the cruise, is because, as you can see from this video, that there is apparently some kind of beach race going on. So the only parts that I could run would be on the super lumpy sandy
Oh, it's so hard running in
sand, and I just don't want to do that. So I'm just going to walk around the hotel parking lot, maybe get out on the sidewalk here in a little bit. But the first cruise tip for staying fit is to get at least 10,000 steps a day in. Step. Which I almost think, even if I didn't do this walk in the morning, and you'll see that I typically walk on the ship every day to start my day out, around the track or just even around the ship, you're going to get probably 10,000 steps in, because you're going to likely go on a shore excursion, or even just walking around the ship can get you close to 10,000. So that's my first tip, is do obviously some form of physical activity, but if you don't want to overexert yourself, just walk, which is all I do now. I used to run half marathons a lot, 10Ks. I ran 1 marathon. So just get your walking in, and that's tip number 1. All right, so for tip number 2, actually I'm back from the cruise and doing what I do best, right? Tip number 1, walk 10,000 steps a day. I do it before the day starts to make sure I get that in. Tip number 2, and I'm going to say some things that are really obvious, but what the point is commit to them. Think about them, be conscientious of them while you're on this cruise, where you have access to so much food, so much drink, if that's what you do. So tip number 1 is obviously just eat in moderation. So as I think most of us know, anytime you eat more than you burn, okay, basic math, you're going to gain weight. So what does that mean? You need to know what your basal metabolic rate is, and without paying for a fancy scale, maybe you could go to your gym and they do this for free for you. The fancy scale can be 6,000. This is the base model, or it could be 12,000, which is a little nicer model, right? Much nicer. Just use this formula, and it's not perfect, but it's a formula. So use this formula, and I'll put it in the description below too, to figure out what your basal metabolic rate is. I've gone to a gym, used the InBody scan, and mine is approximately 1,300. So if I did nothing, I just laid around all day, it's 1,300. So if I go to 3,500 extra calories, maybe it's a gluttonous day, I'm going to gain a pound of body fat. So what I do when I go on the cruise is, and this is a picture, I love Guy's burgers, the fries, everything, they taste so good, is I just eat a majority of the hamburger and fries, but I don't eat all of it. And I know I'm going to get comments about how I'm wasting. You know what? I don't waste that much. I'm mindful of that. I know there's a lot of people in the world that don't have enough food. There's food scarcity, but basically, that's how the food comes, is a whole hamburger. So I eat a majority of the hamburger, a majority of the fries. I leave it. Another trick, and something you can employ at home, and all these things you can do at home as well, is just get a smaller plate. So there's usually a couple different size plates when you go to the buffet. Get the smaller plate, because that way you fill that up pretty much whatever you want. I mean, do whatever you want to. It's your cruise. And then you're just going to feel like, wow, I've got a lot of food. And don't go back for seconds. Okay, so that's, the thing about buffets. Everyone's like, wow, this is a lot of food. I want to keep trying and trying. And when I say don't go back for seconds, this is not meant to be where you absolutely, it's like the military.
Attention!
And you just like, you got to stick with something. It's hardcore, it's your vacation, but just be mindful of that. The other thing is the type of food that you put on your plate. So, you know, put a meatloaf on there, put some fried chicken, maybe a leg, not a whole breast, that's super, you know, heavy in breading. But get that salad. There's a really good salad bar on the ship. It doesn't matter if you're in Carnival, which I do all the time, or it could be Royal Caribbean. There's wonderful salad bars. And don't even worry about the salad dressing, because if you're being super strict, you'd worry about the salad dressing, right? Well, hey, this is your vacation. Have the blue cheese dressing, the ranch dressing, whatever, throw cheese on it. The point is fill yourself up with all that lettuce, which is full of water, that's gonna fill you up. And there's a ton of pasta on the salad bar, like macaroni salad or potato salad. That stuff's good too, but frankly, I'd limit that. So that's my next tip. And also, Carnival puts a, on their website, like a whole list of things they have and tips to not go crazy on the ship and gain weight. And one other fact that I learned is that when I went on one of my first Carnival cruises way back when, the person doing the presentation said everybody gains an average of 1 to 2 pounds a day. So just be mindful of, you don't want to be one of those people. So 7-day cruise, you don't want to come back with 7 pounds extra on you to try to lose. How long does it take to lose that? For me, that would take a long time. Unless, and I will say this, sometimes I do gain more weight. This time I only gained 1.4 pounds. But sometimes I lose it within a day. Even that 1.4 pounds, that's really nothing. Because I feel like on cruise ships, they do have a lot of preservatives. So there's a lot of sodium in their food. Okay, so that is tip number 2. Watch what you eat, watch how much you eat. Just be conscientious of that. So tip number 3, oh, I'm sorry, one more, because we can't forget the drinking. The drinking part, right? So I get the Cheers package. You can get up to 15 drinks a day. How I treat that is I would never be able to drink 15 drinks a day, that my liver would fall out, is I just sample. So, and I also know that basically in the morning, I'll have a drink, you know, for my brunch. So I'll have a mimosa, and then I'll have something else after that, say on the way back to my cabin or whatever activity I'm doing. And then during the day, I'll easily have 1 or 2 drinks, say I'm at the pool, or just, you know, again, walking around doing whatever activity I'm doing on the ship. So there's 2, you know, there's 4. And then dinner, I'm gonna have 1 drink before dinner, during dinner, and after dinner. So that's 5. So I've basically broke even with the cost of how much it costs me in Carnival, but hey, there I can go. I can have 10 more drinks. Do I do that? I'm sorry. My math is off. That's 7. But do I do the extra 8 drinks? No, I likely I don't. But if I do anything, it's, I do a lot of sampling. So I take this as my time to sample. And by the way, I want to show you something really pretty. I live the James River because I live in Virginia. Look at what I'm walking on right now. And I can't flip my phone. Do you see the steam on the water? Look at that. I don't know if you can see it. Okay. Back to me. So the drink package, kind of treat it like if you drink wine, it's a wine tasting. Not, you know, maybe drinking the whole glass of wine. There you go, behind me. Or cocktails. This is the time to experiment with different types of drinks that you wanted to try. They do so many craft cocktails. I love it. So that's the drink part of watching what you drink. Tip number 3, going back to that. Okay, there's a lot of excursions you can do, so do something active. So I don't do a lot of shore excursions, frankly, because I've done them all, and they're really expensive. So I'm not trying to diss that as I'm telling you to try those as a method to not gain a lot of weight. But if you're doing them, do the active ones. Or if you're lounging on the beach, because some shore excursions are just about being on the beach and drinking, that's fine too. Just grab a light beer, grab a ton of water, drink that water up. You know, all day hydration is good anyway. I should have said that on tip number 2. But you could snorkel, you could scuba dive, you can hike. Obviously, that's active. You can ride horses. There's a lot of city tours. Aside from shore excursions, leaving the boat, there are plenty of things to do on the ship. And so, on the top level, you'll see a track. You'll see where you can play ping pong. You can see where you can play basketball. Sometimes they have a soccer net if you want to play soccer on the basketball court. There is foosball. There's pool. That would be inside. But there's a lot of things. Oh, there's ropes courses. There is obviously the pool. So that's just something you can soak in. You can't do laps in a pool on a ship. It's so tiny. It's like a big bathtub. But also there is sometimes there's roller coasters. There's ropes courses too. So like I said, I mean, you're going to say, Jen, playing pool, that's not that active. And you're right. It's not active, but as long as you're away from the buffet line and you're not like drinking a gallon of beer, then you know what? You're distracted from eating. So anything where you're not focused about eating and drinking and it's not as super accessible. So that's the point of that is take advantage of what's on the ship. Tip number 4. So I know this is obvious, but I thought about it. So if you watch my cabin review, I was on the front of the Carnival Mardi Gras this time. And I've done that before in the back and the front. I've been in the middle. I got a ton of walking because every time we went somewhere, unless that particular destination was on the front, there was a lot of walking to get back to the cabin. So when I said you can start the day off and get a lot of steps in, and you'll likely do 10,000 steps anyway, that's where I've, exceeded the 10,000 steps, or even if I didn't work out that day, I got 10,000 steps in. So why don't you get something in the aft or the front? And the aft is great if you can get an aft balcony, because that's just a really gorgeous view of and it's just very relaxing. You see, the waves and everything behind you, or whatever that's called, from the big propeller. So do a front or aft cabin to get those steps. The last tip I'll give you, and you're gonna hate this.
I weigh myself.
And I don't know if you all do this at home, but weigh yourself. Now, you don't have to do it every day. I kind of recommend it, but then, as they say, every day could be water weight. It's misleading. Really, on the average, you should weigh yourself once a week. But at home, I know 5 days a week. I'm at the gym. I'm at the same scale. I weigh myself. If I'm up or down, that's fine. I love it when I'm down. But even if I'm up a couple pounds, I know if I put any intention into it of what I eat, I'll lose that 2 pounds in a day, because it's all water weight. But I would say, just to stay on track, weigh yourself. On the ship, there's usually a scale in the gym, and it's a decrepit scale sometimes. You can get a dumbbell, say it weighs 10 pounds, make sure you calibrate that. And if it says it's 8 pounds, when you put a 10-pound scale on, just remember that when you weigh your body on it. But just do that, just to make sure you're on track. Because if you're gaining 5 pounds in a day, that's not just, I know that's water weight, but that really, a lot of that is going to just stay on you when you come home. So that would be tip number 5, is to weigh yourself every day. Here's your bonus tip. And basically, it's just 2 words: motivation and planning. So the mere fact that you're watching this means that you're thinking about, I'm going to be on a ship. I don't want to suffer when I get back by having to lose a whole ton of weight. How can I enjoy myself and be on the ship all the time? That's planning. So what you're doing right now is planning, and I'm sure you're watching a lot of other videos like this for that. So that's planning. And maybe thinking in advance by looking at the restaurants and some of the menus, like, hey, I definitely want to try that. So you kind of go in there focused, just like when you're grocery shopping, they say don't go in without a list. Make sure you have a list or then you're going to go crazy. So you're planning. But the other part about it is just motivation. Motivation comes from within. It's kind of hard to teach motivation, but you know, maybe there is a way to teach motivation. But I'm a huge Stephen Covey fan, and I always think of one of his 7 habits is begin with the end in mind. So I do a lot for my job, and some things can be really stressful, but I know I'm going to get through it. So I always have a reward for myself after whatever that stressful thing could be. It could be a meeting, it could be a week, it could be something. And stress, by the way, is not always bad. Stress can be really good too, but I begin with the end in mind. So when you're thinking about this, just think about the fact that you don't want to put on 5 pounds and have to lose it. So your motivation is to follow that plan, and then you'll come back and you'll just be talking about the trip, how great it was, but you'll be able to fit in your clothes easily when you go back into the office, if that's what you do, or whatever your place of work is. So that is my bonus tip for you. It's something that I follow on a regular basis, off a ship and on a ship. The last thing is I want to explain my channel name. Let's make you dizzy here. Ooh, I could do this faster. The channel name, Jen's Jams. I doubt any of you followed this channel that much to know that the channel name has changed from Jen's Unedited Journey to about 3 to 4 different names. Well, the reason I arrived at Jen's Jams is I thought it was kind of funny, the alliteration piece of it, but also it kind of gives me like more breadth of topics and content to put on. So obviously I talk about cruising a lot. I've been on 35 cruises. I'll be a Carnival Diamond this year because I'm obsessed, which is one of my channel names. But the other things you've seen is I talk about, you know, airport lounge reviews. I go into a lot of hotel rooms. I'll just take a video of that. I go to restaurants and I'll take a video of that, me eating, which I'm sure you all really enjoy that. Sometimes, hey, I throw, not a lot, but I throw a good number of, you know, like get-togethers at my home. And those nobody watches, but that's okay because I'm not a chef. This is not a recipe channel. But anyway, I do things like that. So sometimes I do kind of one-off random videos. So it's about cruising. It's about all those different types of, you know, topics, which I'll just put under the umbrella of mostly travel. Then you can see the fitness, right? Because, you know, that's how I started out my channel is and I wasn't even being intentional about trying to start a channel. I just said, I need to lose 20 pounds. Let me put this camera on me to be accountable to, I don't know, people that don't even know me. So it's travel, it's fitness, so fun and fitness. And then if I like to do things in threes, and I love alliteration because I like how it just is like a jingle. Finances. So I'm not going to open up my personal financial, you know, situation to all of you because I just wouldn't do it. But there's some things that I've seen that, you know, help other people save money, and there's things that I just think would be kind of fun to try. And maybe there are some things I'll show you that, like what I've done to save money, because I have to finance all these cruises and trips that I go on, right? I don't have an endless amount of money. I'm full-time. I put away for my retirement. I'm very big about putting away money. So, you know, how is it that we can afford, you know, these trips? And I usually go on 3 to 4. I mean, I think one year I went on 5 cruises. But when I say that, you know, like a couple of them are like 3 days or 3 or 4 days over a weekend. And I just so happened was around a cruise port for my job anyway, like Miami. Last year I did 2 cruises out of Miami, one at the front of the weekend and then after the conference I went to. So the reason it's Jen's Jams is you hear there's a lot of fun, fitness, you know, the fun to travel, the fitness aspect, and I'm going to add the finance aspect to it. And I could change my channel name to that, but I just thought Jen's Jams was good. And if it changes, you know, beyond that, I'm sure it will. You'll see it. But anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Have a great day. I actually have to go get ready for that job that I do. Again, like I said, I'm in sales and I got to be on TV. So it's my own professional YouTube channel is my job and being on a screen. So you'll have a great day. Hope you got a lot out of this. Like and subscribe. Bye.